What's going on, guys? My name is Tom from Dreadlabs, and today we're going to redesign another album cover.
Dreadlabs.
You heard it right, guys. It's the 5th episode of the redesign challenge. I know it's been a while since I actually done a recording of this. I did a live stream a couple of weeks ago where the Pokemon box art design work, and before that I think the last one was like the Whole Lotta Red cover redesign, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, that's almost, I think that's from November or something like that. So yeah, today I wanted to design an album that I've been listening to a lot while working, and that's Selected Ambient Works 8592 from Aphex Twin. You'll see it on the screen right now. While Aphex Twin's logo is one of the most iconic Y2K logos out there, I feel like the artwork could use a little work because it's like very bland. So I thought I want to give my own twist to this, see what I can do with it. And yeah, I think we just dive into it. So I've already written down like an idea in my head, and what I'm going to use is I'm going to make this logo into a 3D chrome thing that's like floating in the air. And I want to use that for like a super retro futuristic image. I'm not sure if it would be like a collage or if it would be like something else. But yeah, I want to get the base like image down right now so that we can work in 3D for only like a short time. So I got this logo right here. I downloaded it off the internet somewhere. And the idea is to just scale this up and then do like a perspective twist on it. So this will be 3D, so I'll just go to Effect, 3D, and rotate, and see if I get like a cool perspective or something like that. I was thinking something like this for the middle, and this would be like a chrome thing. I'm just gonna do that in Cinema 4D and Octane later. And then like some details around the side here, or a collage. But for now, we'll just do a text thing in the bottom and the top here. Right, so what I like to do, and if you've seen more videos of mine, you'll probably know what I'm gonna do right now, but I like to make like guides based off of squares in Illustrator. So for example, I want this to be the white space, and I think I can just go and outline these fonts so it's easier for myself. The font you're looking for, it's a free font, by the way, called Soulcraft. I'll put a link up in the description. If not, you can remind me. Anyways, I'm gonna make sure that it will be properly aligned like this. So now I'm gonna just go and copy and paste in place one of these squares, and I'm gonna align it to the right corner. And I'm gonna do the same thing here. Just align my text to it, right? This should be fine. And then to make this easier, because I find the distribute layer thing kind of complicated, never seem to get it right, I'm just gonna go like this and align it to my red kite block here. And looking at it from far away, if you're like squinting, in my opinion, it kind of looks like this is leaned too much to here. So I'm just gonna go move it over a little bit. And that's a nice thing if you want to see if something works, like for example, kerning on fonts or whatever, just squinting your eyes will really help. Actually, I'm gonna put it back like this. All right, let's continue. Alright guys, so I'm gonna do like a fun little thing here. I have the zigzag here, and I checked and the album is 74 minutes long, so I'm just gonna go with 74 writes per segment. Just a little inside thing. Something to think about when you're doing album covers, really, like seeing if you can get these like tiny details in there that maybe only you will discover, or like people you tell. I really like those things about album covers. Right, so the top part is done, I think. We can just go and copy these red squares, paste them in place again, and align them downstairs. So at the bottom here, I just want to go and do the track names, I guess, and the length and stuff like that. So we have some content to work with, as this album is pretty abstract and doesn't really have like a lot of like visuals text-wise, for example, lyrics that we can use. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and grab the full height of this block here at the top. And I'm just going to move that down. Alright, so now we can just extend this all the way so that we have our block to place our text in. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab the text and the cover length from the album, put it to the side here on my screen so you guys don't have to see it. And I'm just going to type it over here. I'm going to make the text a little bigger than it needs to be so that I can just see what I'm like writing. Alright, so I think we're done here. As you can see in the time lapse, I kind of went for dashes in the middle to separate the track names a little bit more. Let me see if we can align the paragraph a little bit better. Yeah, this I think is a little bit better so that it makes like a full-on block here. Alright guys, so the next step is just for me to put the logo into 3D. So I'm just going to go and grab this and I'm going to remove the 3D effect. I'm going to cut this out and I'm going to save this up real quick. I'm going to make a new document. 3000 by 3000 is fine. And the only thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to go and save as. So before you click off this screen, instead of Illustrator 2020, we'll go to Illustrator 8. I'll click OK. Now in Cinema 4D, what you can do is open, or what I'm going to do is merge. So it will be in this project. And I'm going to import the Aphex Twin logo and click OK. I'm just going to go and group these all and group them together in one logo. I'm going to center it and maybe scale it up a little bit. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is going to select all of the children here. And we're going to go to extrude and hold Alt on our keyboard and clicking this. And this is not exactly what we were looking for. So what I'm going to do is make these a little bit smaller and see what the problem is here. Right, so the A here is fine. So we'll call this A. And the thing is, like, we need to make this into a one shape. So what we can do is connect these and delete. And now this will be like one of a compound path. So if we just go and extrude this now, we get what we wanted. So we'll call this a circle. And with selecting both of them, I'm just gonna go with an offset of, I think, 20. It's maybe a lot, maybe 10. Let's see from this side here. Hey guys, Future Tom here. I know this looks a little bit weird, but by the end of the video I have to redo this shape all over again. You'll see it in a time lapse later on in the video. But yeah, bear with me, this is just a weird thing. I don't know why it's happening. But it will be fixed later in the video. So yeah, if you keep on watching, I'll do it over again. Don't worry. Alright, so let me check what's happening here. I think it has to do something with the scaling. Anyways, we can just flatten this out now. So we'll just select all of this, connect objects plus delete. Delete all of these tags here. And now we're left with a 3D logo of Aphex Twin. So I'm going to launch Octane here on the side. I'm going to go with an HDRI environment. Basically any HDRI is fine. It depends on what you want to do with it, but I'll just go with an industrial one because, well, his album sounds kind of industrial, I guess. Let's go and grab an Octane camera and we're going to rotate the logo how we like it. I think something like this is what we had in mind in the Illustrator file. So I'm just going to go like this. Alright, so the position is done, but this lighting thing is kind of weird. Let's see what happens if we actually add a material for Octane. I'm going to go with a metallic one. Okay, this looks a lot better. So what I want to do first is go to the roughness and set the roughness to 0.2 or something. Alright, and this is kind of weird. Let's power this light down and see what happens. Doesn't really do the trick. So let me see what happens if we pick another HDRI. And actually I'm just gonna go load in an Octane Studio, see what happens then, because this is kind of odd. I've never like seen this happen. Alright, so yeah, this looks a little bit better. Let's lower the floor here a little bit. This was kind of the thing that I was hoping for and to get. I do, however, want to see if I can add some like surface imperfections. So I'm just going to go add an image texture. And I got some resources from Polygon, some surface imperfections, and see how that looks on our roughness channel. I'll put the gamma to 1. So I'm just going to go with a UV transform and scale it down a little bit because the scratches are kind of big right now. And I'm just going to go and load in another texture. And see what this looks like. Ooh, this is also very, very cool. I do want to make this a little bit more subtle though, so I'm just going to go grab a gradient. Alright, and then I'm going to go with a multiply, put both of these in there. Right, and now you can see a combination of the scratches and the dirt wipes, I guess they were. Maybe a little bit darker. Alright, we're going to see what happens if we crank this up a little bit. Yeah, make these scratches a little bit more apparent, I guess. And we're gonna go grab these lights and we're gonna lower the power a little bit because it's a little bit like too shiny. Which light is that? Which light causes that? I think it's this light. So what I like to do is grab a target tag, put my logo in that target tag, and now the lights are always pointing directly at the logo here. Alright, so it's this guy here. Let's move that to the back a little bit. Make it a little bit wider, maybe a little bit bigger. Yeah, like that, that's fine. Right, so next I want to kind of make the rest of the studio invisible. So what I'm going to do is grab an Octane tag, an Octane object tag, and we're going to go to the visibility tab and we'll check off camera visibility. And while holding control, we'll drag these to all of the walls, which leaves us with a transparent like 3D logo of Aphex Twin. I'm going to redo the logo real quick. So I'm going to check out if I can do some beveling with the what is it called? The extrude option here. So yeah, cue the time lapse. Alright guys, so as you can see, I did a little bit of editing. I left all of the extrudes here in it, and if you go to caps here and I set the bevel shape to curve and I played with the size a little bit. The size of the ring is 0.4 centimeters and this one is 1 centimeter because it has a little bit more breathing room if you like bevel it. Anyways, we're going to copy this and we're going to paste it here. See if we can just copy all of these settings. Then we're going to delete the old logo and put our metal material on the logo here. Alright, yeah, that it looks a little bit more natural because it has these beveled edges. I really do like that. Right, well, now we're gonna see if we can play with some depth of field or something just from the get-go without like doing multiple scenes. So uncheck autofocus again. All right, so now that you can see this is a little bit blurry, that's a little bit blurry. What we're gonna do as well is enable the denoiser. I do want to change the focus point maybe towards here. Yeah, like that, that's a little bit better. All right, so now I want to see if there's any post-processing that we can do. Like give this a little bit of a glow, I do like that. Right, yeah, I do like this. So let me just render this up, and I think we're gonna go and put this into Photoshop. So yeah, now this is where I have a little bit of a problem with Octane, and I'm not sure if anyone in the comments can help me with this, but yeah, the glares aren't being rendered this way. So I'm gonna render this out again, but then like I'm not gonna render it out transparent. I'm just gonna layer these on top of each other. So I'm just gonna go and uncheck the alpha channel again and render it again. All right, so now that we're here, we'll just go and move these guys around to have it in the center. Let's just go and make some guidelines so we know where the center actually is. And I'm just gonna scale this up a little bit. Don't worry about losing the quality, because I am actually going to use some plugins on this later, which will like lower the quality anyways. So I don't really care about scaling it up or down. Anyways, this is fine for what it is. Now I want to drag in the Illustrator file, and I'm gonna crop to media box and click OK. Oh yeah, I forgot to remove these guys. Anyway, I'll just go and make all of these white while I'm at it. So the reason I'm cropping to media box is, as you can see, it doesn't really crop to the edge of like our text here, but it leaves in those like spaces that I made when importing it from Illustrator. All right, I do like where this is going. I think we can use like some more interesting backgrounds. So what I'm gonna do is I am going to my folder with assets. So I'm gonna grab up the marble paint textures from Dreadlabs. You can get these in the Dreadlabs Scrap store. I'll put a link up in the description. These contain 60 super abstract background textures, for example this one. And obviously you can't see them yet, but that's because if I put this to lighten, let me put this to 5% opacity so you can see, okay, the glow is still there. The cool thing about this is because we have this 3D Aphex Twin logo, if we put this to like 20%, if we lighten this, all the dark parts become like transparent. But if we have this at 100% opacity, you can see that we're losing like the darker shadows of this render, but if we have it like this, we don't. So yeah, this is kind of the workaround that I use when keeping like the light flares and the glares and the blooming from Cinema 4D, while actually not having to put that to blend mode and losing the quality. So I do like this, but it doesn't really fit that well. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna blur this out, maybe something like this. And I'm actually also gonna give this a, what is it called? The opposite of a pinch. I think it's called a bulge. And I'll scale this up. There's like too many colors in there, so I want to make it a little bit more abstract like this. All right, I actually do like the colors now. So one thing I want to do next is, you can normally use a noise overlay, but I recently released a paper pack volume 2 on my web store, which contains sandpaper textures. And these basically can function as super irregular noise textures. I already showed this on my Instagram, but if we go there and we'll grab one of these sandpapers, like if I show it to you now, as you can see, it contains like a lot of detail and a lot of grit. So we'll just go with, I like this one, or yeah, we'll go with number 2, and I'll put this in. And you're probably thinking, okay, but this is too dark to be like a noise texture, right? That's where the curves come in. So what I want to do first is going to go and grab and set this to lighten. And now we can basically just make this actually lighter. And what I really like about this is that this noise isn't really that like regular. I'm just going to go with a curves. And as you can see, the more we light this up, the more grain is appearing. Alright, so I'm just gonna put this behind our logo because this has already like some imperfections. Alright, so the cool thing is now we can also just add a normal noise texture. Now I have a combination of smaller grainy filters and a big grain filter. One might even say this is called a big grain move. So yeah, if we get rid of the actual white points here, I feel like the gray points are a little bit more valuable in this design. So yeah, I do like this. These textures, I can just group them, and actually gonna go and duplicate these to another file real quick. You might wonder why. Because I'm gonna use Inklab. So this is purely optional. I just want to see if I can do something cool with this because I recently made a Retrofuturistic preset for Inklab. If you want to get Inklab, I'll put a link up in the description. It's made by a company called Blkmarket. They're super awesome, so yeah, support them if you can. So if you don't have the budget to get a plugin like Inklab, I would say skip this part and go with the box blur on your text. And maybe some displacement maps. So if you don't know how these work, I have a ton of videos explaining them. I would say check out one of my Inkbleed tutorials. But yeah, for this we're gonna go and remove the textures from this design and we're gonna play with Inklab for a minute. And I'm just gonna walk you through the preset that I made. So I found that when using this preset, it kind of like works like a retrofuturistic approach. I did a little bit of a very small offset on the colors. So a offset of -10 on the cyan, a 3 on magenta, and a 5 on yellow. Give this a diffusion dither, but actually, yeah, I was like, wait, why are these options? So yeah, the diffusion dither doesn't really have options. I think this is just from the normal halftone screen. But yeah, just click on diffusion dither. We are going to use our own textures, so I'm gonna go turn off the textures for now. And yeah, we'll keep this at 300 dpi, and on the effects, the only thing we're going to do is sharpen all of them. Alright guys, so I did some experimenting in Inklab, and I'm just going to go and make this into a smart object, so that we don't lose our smart filters, but yeah, sometimes Inklab and smart filters don't really go together, from my personal experience. And I forgot that I had the resample value at 300 dpi and my image was 272, so it took a long time to scale this thing up. So for now I'm just gonna run the same effect with the same preset and see what it brings us. Alright guys, so I did a little bit of experimenting here in Inklab, and as you can see I played around with the offset a little bit. The text is a little bit like too much gone, as you can see. I think that's because of the magenta color. Oh no, it's actually the cyan one, it's too far. So I might have to play around with the offsets here, and I ended up getting the DPI the same as my document size because it's already pretty big. So yeah, I'm gonna run this one more time. And see what it brings us. Alright, so yeah, this is a little bit more subtle. You can see that the text still isn't really like that good, like readable. What I do like is with the diffusion dither, you get like this super detailed like look, and yeah, it kind of grains up your artwork in the process, which gives you that retro-futuristic look as well with the offset printing on the side here. So let's see what happens if we duplicate our texture back into the file. Yeah, I really do like this. So I'm just gonna run it one more time, I promise, and lower the offset rates a little bit more, and maybe do some outline around the text so that the text will be a little bit better, like in terms of legibility. As it is, like if we go and remove this texture here and the Inklab one, it's mainly at this point and here where it's like the color, background color is a little bit too light. So what I'm gonna do is on the text here, just grab a really, no, not this, this is not subtle, but I wanted to do a really subtle like drop shadow, something like this, and then perhaps make this a little bit darker, and I'm just gonna do that with a solid color and lowering the opacity. Alright, so let's run it again, and maybe this time this at -3 as well. Just make sure that these aren't like too far apart, but they have to be different values, otherwise you won't, if they're all the same value, they will just have the same offset and you won't see like that like 3D effect, I guess. Alright, so now the legibility is way better. I'm just gonna go drag in the textures one more time. I feel like I can just make a small adjustment, making it a little bit lighter with a curves. like this. Yeah, and I think we are finished. I really do like this. This is also like how I approach these like retro futuristic artworks. I will post more in future because I have some unused proposals for client work that I can't wait to share with you with this same Inklab preset. So yeah, let me just save this up. Alright guys, so if you want to get the project file for this tutorial, you can become a patron of mine. And if you become a patron of mine, you get access to all of the project files from the tutorials, including this one. As well as a 15% discount in my asset web store and a cool Discord role with an exclusive channel there. If you go one tier up, you'll also get access to the full videos of me starting a clothing brand from scratch. And with all of this being said, a big shout out to all of my patrons. Thank you so much for supporting me and making me be able to do this full time, creating videos for you guys, teaching you guys new stuff and making assets. So yeah, shout out to my Patreons. If you want to become one, link in the description. If you have any other questions, please leave them down in the comments, or you can join us on Discord, link in the description for that as well. And with all of that being said, this was Tom from Dreadlabs tuning out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.